go. Hey,
Howdy.
everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Scotty's already here.
Hi, Scotty. How are you doing
Glad to have you.
on this? I would say cold, wet, drizzly Saturday. It's not real cold, but
It cleared up, though.
finally,
About 1:30 it started.
when it was about time to come back to the house.
Yeah. So, yep. Looks like we got 4 people in here. 3. Hey, Piggy! Welcome in. Welcome in.
How are you doing today?
Glad everybody's here. Uh-oh, here comes Jessica. She's coming just for Piggy.
Hi, Piggy. And everybody else.
I was going to say, better say hi to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness.
So,
There's James Hall. Howdy.
hey, James, welcome in. Welcome in.
Been out in the woods today.
Mm-hmm. James knows.
Yeah.
I posted pictures on Facebook earlier.
Well, technically, I wasn't with you then at that point.
Nope.
I hadn't had my coffee in yet, so I went to the woods a little later.
Yeah, got started early this morning and had to come back and get Tina. Hey, Xander, welcome in.
Hey, Xander.
Getting a taste back. Potatoes taste like cardboard. Oh no.
Oh,
Hi,
no.
Scotty. Hey, James. Yeah, buddy I work with, he had the Rona back when it first started going around, and he's just now within the last few months actually getting his taste buds back. He couldn't taste anything. Everything just tasted like mush.
I didn't have a problem with the taste buds, but my sense of smell is still not the best.
Yeah. Which sometimes works out in your favor.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, we figured we'd go a little earlier today since getting dark early and everything else. We figured, well, we'll just go a little early and
Yep.
that way we can
Sun's already setting outside, isn't it?
run a little bit longer if we wanted to and didn't have to worry about running it over onto Johnny and Christine. So,
That's like I said, it'll be
so
dark
Mother
shortly.
can't smell. Yeah, it's weird how that's affected everybody. She's burned a few things because of that. I can imagine.
I said it has to be a really strong smell, and then I can faintly smell it. And then others I can smell easily, but not everything.
Yeah, it was Walmart or something and getting subs like, how's that smell? And yeah, she's like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
I never lost my taste, but I like taste would be
I lost my
imagine.
taste, but I'll tell you what, breathing is a task. So my friend Cindy, she had a hard time, with the breathing part.
Mm-hmm.
It did get her to quit smoking and everything. She hasn't had a cigarette since, so that was pretty cool.
Good. So, yeah, I've been out in the woods all day. She's only been out half a day or just a couple hours. But we got some firewood cut.
And I did a video by myself. Well, mostly by myself, but I did on my phone. I think I'll release it later tonight.
Sounds good.
It's not just a little short one. I actually did a video. Yay! Yeah, there's hope for me yet.
Edited it on her phone herself, and well, I had to help a little bit on it. It got all
jumbled.
Yeah, giggly gooped.
So I was wondering what breathing was. I got a gasp of air. Thought my lung was going to come up. Coughing. Nothing was coming up. Oh goodness, Xander. Well, I definitely hope you're on the mend.
Definitely. So, but yeah.
So on this, the new messages come at the top, right?
Right.
Okay. Was a little confused there.
Yeah. So yeah, with Restream, they got it. It's set to where on the screen there, the new messages are on the top and then go down instead of. But if they're looking at YouTube, it flips it the other way. So.
Yet.
Yeah. Twan ended up in the hospital 18 days and oxygen for a month. Oh goodness. Man. Yeah,
we had it. Let's see, the 3 of us was Jesse wasn't living here then. So it was me, you, and our son James.
Mm-hmm.
And how many days were we at home?
About a week, I think, wasn't it? Or was it?
It was
longer?
longer than that.
It may
Because
have
it
been
got
about
to be
2
we
weeks.
would order stuff on Amazon just so we could wave at the Amazon guy in the yard and see people.
Yeah, we'd have to put a sign out on the porch.
Quarantine.
Yep.
But we weren't really sick or anything then. But
I was for a few
other,
days. It felt like I
we'd
was
go out
gonna.
in the yard to do stuff and
Yeah.
just kind of feel drained. So we had the lawn chairs sitting there close. So we'd sit down and rest. And then we'd get up and do a little more. And then we'd sit down and rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it zapped your energy quick.
Yep.
Just even walking to the bathroom or something was a chore.
Yep.
So.
But yeah, like I said, living out here in the woods, we don't see people here very often. And then it was like not going to work or anything. It's like,
never had pox. Just take vitamins and we're been good. Well, that's awesome.
pokes, not pox. We didn't get no shots either.
Yeah. 14 of the 18 I was in ICU. Goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah, we had both our hospitals up just north of Joplin. They was plugged plumb full of people. So only had it for a few days. I think I've had it. Well, I'm pretty sure we both had it at least twice, but only the one time was.
They made us stay home from work.
Yeah, and it really kicked our butts. Hey, there's Paul. Welcome in, buddy.
Hey, Paul, how are you doing? I got my pretty cup here I'm drinking out of.
But yeah, so anyway, yeah, I spent, like I said, most of the day out cutting firewood, and I got a tree down that I'm going to get bucked up. I'm going to use it for a log to get on the sawmill and
So
try it
hopefully tomorrow we get a sawmill video. Well,
out. Fingers
well,
crossed.
maybe not make the video tomorrow, but we'll get it recorded.
It is somewhat lonely in your basement. Oh, there we go.
It was lonely down there.
Nope, now I need to fix this. There we
Yeah,
go.
that works better.
I need to remember to look over at that.
How's Paul today?
Today has had an overarching theme for me, and the word is relative. I have had relatives today. I don't know.
I don't have many of those left.
I don't know. I don't know how that's worked out. One of my relatives, the electric company's got some people doing some tree trimming over here, and they took down a great big tree at his place, and he wanted me to go look at the logs that he cut out of it. And so I got to talk to him for quite a while. He's 80, and I used to buy straw from him out the back of his combine and bale it and sell it. And wow, it's hard for me to believe he's 80, but I quit doing all that picking up square bale stuff back in like 2000. So it shouldn't be that hard to believe. And then I delivered a couple loads of hay to another relative of mine that's like 6 or 7 miles in the other direction today. I usually try not to do a lot on Saturday, but that's been my whole day right there. Relative. Been relative today. And the video that I put up today, y'all need to know that's from a month ago. And I put something about that in the description, but nobody's read it. Kevin got hit in the head by a limb that fell out of a dead tree next to one we cut down, but that happened back like on the 3rd of October. He's completely healed up from it. The staples has been out for like 3 weeks, and he's doing good. So no need to worry about him. He's hard-headed.
Built-in hard hat, huh?
He is tough now. When we went to the emergency room, it put a gash in the side of his head, like it hit him about here. And I actually think what happened was it hit him and broke, and the piece that broke off slid down the side of his head. I couldn't see it that good because I'm sitting in the skid steer and almost, I was just 3 or 4 foot from where he got hit at. but it put a big gash in his head. And we went to the emergency room, and they wouldn't. The Mediquick people would not sew it up or uh, even look at it unless you had been somewhere else and had X-rays of your head to make sure something else wasn't broke. They said
wow.
if the gash was longer than an inch, you needed to go ahead and go to the emergency room to have it looked at. So we just went on to the emergency room, and they did their scans. And of course, he's sitting there. They haven't given him anything for pain. And they came in there, and that doctor shot 27 staples in Kevin's head without giving him anything for pain.
Oh.
And he would not stop. I mean, he probably would have been a lot better if he just stopped a few times. But yeah, he didn't stop. But he's all healed up from it. I don't think you can hurt Kevin's head.
Hey,
by
Marketplace Boutique, welcome in.
Hey, Jody.
Yeah, that's
You got to be careful in the woods, and you cannot. The main thing of that video I want to see people to see is you can't predict what might happen when you're cutting a tree down. There's no way. If you haven't watched it, go watch that video. It was one that I uploaded today, and I can't even remember the title of it. Something about an accident, probably, but you can't predict stuff that happen like that. So.
well, and not only that, not only just dropping them, but even when you do have them on the ground, you get a big oak on there, and you're limbing it up. Depending on what limbs you get off, all of a sudden it rolls on you.
Yep, and when you're cutting them limbs off, sometimes those limbs are like trees anyway. They'll go be sticking up in the air 20 feet. You got to be really careful and kind of plan for stuff like that. But it happens. People get hurt. Yep. Hello, Jesse.
Yeah, that little pin oak I was cutting up this morning because it fell across the road going back to the backside of the property. So I've been needing to get back there, but I was just waiting for snakes to go bye before I go traipsing up in there. And I'm cutting it and I'm watching it because it's still hanging on because it got struck by lightning back in August. So it's still hanging on to the trunk there, and it's teetering pretty good. So I limbed it down one side, and then I went around the other side and started limbing it, and I started cutting this one big one, and about that time it slowly started rolling, which I was expecting it. I was watching it. So yeah, I was really, hey Jan, welcome in.
There's Jan. Howdy,
yeah,
Jan.
You got to watch them, whether you're dropping them or they're already on the ground, because it don't take much at all for them to get you.
Kevin and I work together a lot, and we're kind of, I do the carrying and hauling, and a lot of the times he'll be cutting when I'm not there. And so I've went back to the woods before, and his truck won't be there, and he'll be gone, and I'll like call him, "Are you okay?" "Oh yes, I'm fine. Everything was going wrong, so I went home." So he sent me a picture one time right after I'd left the woods with a load of logs, and he says the picture showed a tree that he had cut down, and it laid over another small tree, and when it did, the log is sticking up in the air 15 foot. You can't even get near it. Oh, and he's like, "I don't know how you do this, but I guess I'm doing tricks today." And you guys know Kevin's pretty wiry. He's I don't know, a good foot shorter than me, but he can get out of the way. And what happened today, he got hit in the head, was the landowner showed up, and he's standing on the other side of my loader talking to me while Kevin's cutting this tree down. When Kevin went to cutting it, I'm watching it, and I looked at that guy and I said, "That went exactly like he'd planning on it to go." And it did. Boy, it laid out there just where he wanted it to go. But it laid over another tree that caused it to land on a limb that broke off and made it do. And when it broke off, it did this, and it kicked that tree off the stump, the one he cut, and it hit a dead tree of about the same size, pretty good sized dead tree right behind it, and it shook it. That dead tree shook it. Well, it lost a limb way out of the top of it when it shook it, and that was what hit him in the head.
Hey, Evan, welcome in. Jan, I seen you posted that you had a calf born yesterday.
Yeah, I seen she had a new video, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So, but a new calf, yay!
Awesome.
And welcome in, Shannon, my little homestead. First live I've caught. Awesome. Welcome in.
Glad you're here. Yeah.
Hello, Abbott. Hey,
So-
how are you guys doing on videos? Are you anywhere near up to date? You guys got a lot of stuff banked?
No,
No.
we don't. I still got to find the one. I think it's on. Excuse me. I think the tractor video where you came and got the Alice. I think it's actually on my flash or not flash drive, but external hard drive.
Is that where it
I
went
think
off
so.
of my
I need to
phone?
go back and dig through it tonight and find it because I think it's there.
Because I looked through to find that, and it's like I don't have any of them. Where did they
And
go?
then it dawned on me after we was texting last night. I got thinking. I was like, I think it's on that external hard drive. So I got to get it plugged in and go looking and seeing if that's where it's at. 'Cause I think that's where it's at. So
One
I
of
got to
the
get that
dogs
one.
Goosed Kevin, and I was like, it just disappeared, and yeah, I couldn't figure out what happened.
Well, Kay was probably fine with that, but I thought it was funny.
So, yeah.
He is really edgy that way. I mean, you can be walking through the woods making all kind of noise and come up behind him. Of course, he's cutting with a chainsaw. He don't hear you.
Mhm.
You'll spook him. And I'll do that sometimes. I don't even say anything. I just try to get to where I'm naughty and reach and to where he can see me. And when he does see you, he's like, whoa.
But yeah, I think that's the only video we've really got banked right now, and that was just because we lost it. So I got, like I said, I got to double check the external hard drive, make sure it's where it's at, and then I can work on it and get it uploaded. But then we've got
The one I did today.
the one she
On
did
my
today.
phone.
She actually worked on that one herself, which I did a little short one, but it's going to go for the other two I've got down that I'm going to use to put on the sawmill.
I'm
Hopefully, we
looking
can
forward
get
to
it.
seeing that saw run some.
Yeah, so
2 weeks today, and we still haven't cut a tree.
I've had a tarp over the motor this whole time. I got to tighten a couple bolts on it, but between work and everything else, we haven't had a chance to get out there. And then, of course, we started getting rain, which I'm not going to complain about the rain at all because we need it.
No, it's a lot better, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely need it.
I've been so stupid busy. My church, the last Sunday, I think in September, I think is when it happened. They gave me a smoker, a brand new smoker, still in the box, had been put together, and it's one of those you can use charcoal or wood in. And I'm like, I'm all about that. I've never had one of those. I've been using a little Sunbeam charcoal grill to do smoking with for a couple of years. And all I could think was, all right, and I've been so stupid busy. It's still sitting on the porch. The box has gotten soft from getting a little bit of rain, and it's fell over, and I haven't even had time to put it together. And they ask me about it every Sunday at church, and I'm like, well, if the old preacher get a break, he'd put that together. It's going to happen. It's going to happen because I'm planning on smoking my Thanksgiving turkey on it, but I haven't got it put together yet.
Yeah, it's like I said, yeah. Hey, Nerd Nana, 9 acres, welcome in.
Hi, Lisa.
But yeah, I got a couple bolts on I got to get tightened down, and then I got the 1 foot I got to get cut off of the, looks like somebody else is in here.
Is it lonely in the basement again?
There we go. It's Dale.
Hello, Dale.
And Lisa.
We're muted, Nana.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I can hear you.
So,
but
yeah, I got to get the.
Sorry we're late. We were trying to finish up a project.
And we're all
Hey, you're never late.
Never late.
Dirt.
Never late.
Oh, no.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi.
But yeah, hopefully
Paul.
I get the.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Dale. Hi, Lisa. How are you guys? How's things in Kansas? Oh, Kansas.
Oh, it's been beautiful all week.
It is not beautiful. It has been hot today. It's supposed to be fall. I am like, my head is wet. I've been working, sweating. It
The
ain't
high
right.
today was 62 degrees.
It ain't right.
Yeah,
It wasn't hot.
Here.
Yeah.
Exactly. World's smallest violin playing My Heart Bleeds for You.
I don't know. I got to haul and brush, and I was like, I'm cold and I'm wearing a hoodie, but I'm sweating.
Yeah, it was kind of drizzly and overcast here until I don't know, 11 o'clock, noon, maybe.
We'd have took
It-
drizzle and overcast. We'll take all the rain it wants to send.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Hi, everyone in the chat. I'm not going to call out everybody individual, but hello. I see lots of people saying hi.
Yeah, we had it drizzled up till about noon, and then it kind of started breaking up, and
And it was like the sunshine.
between 1
Yeah.
and 1:30, it finally broke free and cleared up good. So
After the time change, I'm always like, I got to get out in that sun if the sun comes out.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, but it
darkest
ain't-
part of winter, I kind
It
of feel
ain't
like
right. Like I said, right after the time change that Monday, when I went to go to work, I got out the door and I had not looked at time at all. You know,
mhm.
Nana kind of tells me when it's time to get up and everything. And I got out that door and that sun was bright as could be. And I'm like, I am late for work. I know I'm late for work. Like, this is way too light.
I hate getting home in the afternoon and you got like 30 minutes before dark.
Yes. It drives
No
me
time to
crazy.
get nothing done.
I need that sunshine therapy. I thought about just getting me a bright light to sit under right here. You know,
Yeah.
There you
I'll
go.
Get you
It
some
was good.
vitamin D.
Mhm. Get you one of them grow lights and replace your light bulbs with those.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Grow light in the preacher's house. Yeah,
Especially in Oklahoma. I mean, that would
yeah.
I wouldn't be
I can hear it
suspicious at
now.
all. You had grow lights.
No.
Just
Preacher
don't put
has
no
this
tinfoil
cool
up on
light
the
in
window.
his house.
Yeah.
Can you describe that to me? Oh, that's
Well, as long as you're not go throwing tinfoil up over your windows, you got to be okay.
True story. Man, I got sawdust all over me. It looks like I got dandruff.
I know.
That's
It's terrible.
same here from running that saw. Of course, I'm out there. I'm bucking up that pin oak, and I look down, and I'm like, I'm watching it, and then I look up, and I get distracted. And I look back down, I'm seeing sparks flying from my chain. I'm like, crud.
Ah.
So I was like, well, time to come up to the house, get something to eat anyway. So I came up, got something to eat, picked Tina up. We got back out there, went to cutting, or I sharpened my chain, bucked up 2 little rounds, and there was another rock that was sticking up out of the ground that I didn't see. I was watching how far down I was going, but the tip of my bar, and about that
Hit it
time,
again.
a couple more sparks. So like, you got to be
So
kidding me.
almost the whole time we're out there, I'm hauling brush out of the roadway while he sharpens the saw. And it's like, why do I always get the most labor here out of all this?
I
He
know.
sits there and sharpens the saw.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Shut
you
up,
just
you
learn
chain
how to
maker.
sharpen chains, you know, and then, or you run the chainsaw and make him buck the brush.
I worked on a
You've seen
Southern
my
Baptist.
chainsaw. It wasn't cut very much.
I worked on a Southern Baptist disaster relief chainsaw crew, and we figured that for every one person running the chainsaw, you needed 4 moving brush. It was always that way.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
It doesn't take much chainsaw to make.
That's why I always wanted Lisa and the kids to go when we cut wood.
Yeah, because when I was
I
out there,
kind of, you know, I used to like be a little bit salty at my dad when we'd go cut wood, and he's like, "Load it up, Buck," and I'm like, well, how come he ain't loading? And then he finally said one day when we were cutting wood, he'd always come and help. He loved to cut wood, loves to cut wood. And
Wind broke
he's like,
acres. Hello.
I'll cut it all day long, but I ain't picking up the first
Bowen.
stick.
Hey, Bowen.
And that is the truth. Like,
I think my dad figured that out about 45 years before you did, Dale.
yeah.
Well, then too, if he could have cut the brush down just a little smaller to where I could handle it a little easier, would help.
then
Oh
you make
yeah.
it more
See, I figured that
And
out.
then he's
I
like,
never-
"Well, that makes more work for me."
They-
And it's like, ah,
I never had to
make
worry
more-
about that with my dad because he cut firewood down to 2 inches. There was no
Well, I
brush
kind of did
pile
that
left.
too.
cut
Because we
leave
were
it there.
we were always blending hackberry and hedge,
Mhm.
Osage orange hedge together, and so you wanted them smalls of 2-inch hedge because you know you could just throw them in there to keep the fire going, and with that hackberry and it'd warm it right up, you know.
Yeah. Plus, you get all those firework effects with hedge.
I love it.
Pop, pop. We had
Definitely.
trouble with hickory doing that sometimes. If we burned them bigger sticks of hickory, they would pop, and they
Yep.
would actually break the glass out in Dad's
Ooh.
fireplace doors. He had glass
Yep.
fireplace doors.
We burn a lot of hedge, and then one of our neighbors, he had a whole bunch of locusts. I mean, we're talking big locusts, like 2.5, 3 foot across at the base locusts, and they all died. Like they got some kind of beetle or something in them, and it killed every one of them. And and they were kind of in a fence row, and he told me, "Well, you're more welcome to cut it." Well, I started cutting that locust down, and it would hit the ground, and the bark and all the needles just,
Mm-hmm.
and it, and man, that stuff will split like glass, but it is just as hot as hedge.
Really,
I mean,
I never have burned any of that locust, but we've sawn quite a lot of them. I used to get a bunch of logs from a guy that was north of Joplin, up there somewhere around Baseline
Yeah.
and 43 and east of there, and he logged on the river bottoms up through there, and he would bring me some of them honey locusts that were nice
Honey
size.
locusts.
Them really had made some nice lumber. And
Oh,
they
they
look
will.
like red oak, but you can smell that locust.
This would kind of have it would really be a white wood, but it would have like almost a stained walnut look in it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that really dark.
It'd been dead a little bit. Then and that may have been black locust, what you're talking about.
It was black locust. Yeah.
One of those, they say black locust will make fence posts, but that honey locust, they say it'll rot. And the ones we was getting was the kind that had big thorns on them, and the heart on them was red. They had a white sapwood that wasn't very thick, but they would be dead. It'd be dead trees that he was bringing us. Very few live ones. Some of them, part of the bark could be missing. And that guy that was logging them told me that those honey locusts, and maybe all locusts, have a lot shorter lifespan than one like a tree. And so when they just get so many years old, they're going to start deteriorating or dying or be susceptible to something. And,
Just seen Anita walk back through there. Is she feeling better?
She she's motoring
up
around and feels good.
She's
That's
been
awesome.
she's been watching the little one running around trying to catch up, do stuff like picking with her head cut off. And she's gonna make it here in a little bit.
Well, I'm glad she's feeling better.
Yep.
It's a rumor. It's a rumor. She's gonna fix me supper. I was thinking about trying to talk her into fixing supper for you guys again, like I did once, and we was gonna have pea salad. And,
I'm in. Let's do it.
And pasta salad with them icky green peas in it, and
Let's just do it. And pea soup too.
yeah, there you go. Split pea soup.
Hey,
And,
the 9 acres will bring. It's a covered dish meal. We'll bring a covered dish with us.
hey, I watched you make some of that. What'd you call it? Jumbo. I'd eat some jumbo. It looked good.
Did you guys? Did you notice? Did you notice the little where I said pay close attention? What happened? The whole lid come off of my Old Bay, and every bit of it dumped in there.
I was watching that, and you did that, and then you was asking people how it was, and some of them said it could be a little bit spicy.
And then as it further went on, then all of them were like, "Oh, it's spicy."
Oh, Lila Newton.
That was one of those that is going to get you coming and going.
Yeah. Lila Newton. I was walking across there. I was asking people how it was, and all of a sudden I heard Lila, Dale. She goes, "My mouth will never recover from this."
Well, all that means for me is I probably wouldn't have had to put any corruption on it.
She says, "You poisoned me. You tried to kill me."
Heartlanding.
I gotta check my stock on corruption every little bit. Nope, there's still some in there. I think I can wait until next time to get it on the grocery list.
I always like the Tabasco chipotle sauce on there.
Mm-hmm.
It had
that
a
Frank's
little
is
bit of
pretty
heat,
good.
but it was good flavor.
I
Between the
can go
lines.
to the Del Rio's the one I know that has it on the table. They'll have green Tabasco on the table, and I'll just take their chips and just pour a bunch of that green Tabasco on there and eat it. And everybody at the table's looking at me like, "Isn't that hot?" And I'm like, "I can't taste the thing."
Can't taste a thing. Is right.
I remember the first time I had a habanero. I was doing construction. Was working up the old Mercantile Bank there, 4th and Main there in Joplin, and I was working upstairs. I come down for lunch, and one of our laborers was sitting there eating these little orange peppers, just like they was candy. I'm like, "What are those?" He goes, "Oh, these are habanero peppers." I was like,
They
"Oh."
look
He goes,
like
"You want to try
pumpkins.
one?" He goes, he goes, "You want to try one?" I was like, "Well, are they like a jalapeno?" Oh no, they're nothing like a jalapeno. And my first clue should have been everybody's eyes just turned and fixated on me as soon as he started handing me one. And excuse me, I put that thing up in my mouth. I took a little bite, and I could not hit the water jug quick enough. My mouth was on fire the rest of the day. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I like a little
And
kick,
that's
but
when I knew I done messed up.
exactly. Of course, I was 19 at the time. 10
Lauren
foot
and
tall
Joel
and big
making
feet.
it home. Welcome in, guys.
Hey guys, welcome in. But yeah, never again.
My wife actually ordered some habanero sauce from or habanero salsa from a place in Tulsa called Ted's Escondido, and it's a Mexican restaurant. They're one of the only Mexican restaurants that I've been to that they bring you chips and salsa, but they also bring you fresh made flour tortillas at the same time with your chips and salsa. But
Oh, wow.
anyway, we had been to a preacher meeting in Oklahoma City, and she got to feeling all stuffed up and everything, and two of the other guys we was running with convinced her that she should try some of that. She took like, I don't know if it was a teaspoon, it may have been a half a teaspoon of it and mixed with a little cup of salsa and mixed it up real good. And she started eating that on some chips, and before long she could breathe and
Cleaned it right out.
just stirred everything. Just
And her
stirred
tear
everything.
ducts were cleaned out, and her,
Oh, goodness.
Well, see,
When we
that's
got
what I like
home,
about
her
horseradish.
forehead looked fine.
you're clammy,
That's
not
about right.
you're clammy, not feverish. Yeah. Mhm.
That's what I like about horseradish because it'll clean your sinuses out good and everything. If you got a stopped up nose, get you some of that, and yeah, be nice and cleaned out, and you can breathe real good. It's got a little bit of heat,
I
but it's
can't
got to be
do
the
hot.
fresh. Do what?
I can't do hot.
Me neither.
Nope.
You
Them
know,
look like
I understand some people are hot and then some people can do hot. And so you
Yeah.
can't be
Yeah.
both. So just go that way.
I think
That's
Paul
what your
just called you
problem
hot.
I know.
Yeah, but think about what that means for me eating all this corruption.
Yeah, me too.
Some people are hot.
You know,
and
for
so-
some reason, if you put pulled bent nails in your pockets, they poke you when you sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
well,
do
you
that.
won't have anything under your fingernails either.
Mhm. Yeah.
No,
it's-
we may have been working on a project, and Nana, for some reason, she throws a fit when I just pull a nail and I just move on to the next one, and the nail just falls on the ground. She throws a fit.
I have my hand out there so he can put them all in my hand. He just throws them on the ground.
Well, you just get a magnet and go through, and you pick them up later.
Well, then he pulled out our magnet that's on the wheels, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's smart.
That's what I do.
I'm looking forward to hearing about how that chocolate toothpaste thing works.
Yeah,
out.
me too. That's like, I like that idea.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh. I
Sorry.
ain't too sure about that one.
I'm not either, but I want to see their reaction.
Uh-huh.
Missy gets some crazy toothpaste flavors, but chocolate, oh, I don't know about that.
So,
Chocolate? Man, chocolate is where it's at.
Well,
Not
I
for
love
toothpaste,
chocolate.
though.
I'd do it.
I
I
probably
gotta
never.
be in the mood
Yeah,
for
but it won't
chocolate.
taste like toothpaste. It'll taste like chocolate.
Yeah, but you'd want to eat it.
Well, some people like Jesse already just eat the toothpaste.
You walk in the bathroom, she's just sitting there squirting the tube of toothpaste in her
Yeah,
mouth.
maybe that's the reason why they put warning labels on deodorant too that says "Do not eat."
There's some other warning labels that really make you think, like the one at the gas pump that says "Do not insert this into your mouth or rectum." I'm like, somebody wrecked them there.
Yeah, like what is? You know, Jesse, I'm just giving her a hard time because she is the Tide Pod generation.
She is.
Yeah.
Luckily,
Well, I'll
at
tell you
least
what
as far as
generation
know,
I am. I'm the one who my dad taught me how to straighten nails.
Yeah,
But I've done good enough that I can buy new ones, so I don't straighten any of my
Yeah.
own.
well, I don't do nails. I do
We do
screws.
screws.
Right,
I do
that's where
screw
I'm
gun.
at too.
Mhm.
Aren't you a
The
little
old
big to sit on
corral at
Mommy's
my
I'm not on your
home
lap.
place was all railroad
I'm on the
ties in the
side.
ground and two by
Yeah.
sixes.
Yeah.
And I can't every time before we got ready to catch anything, well, we'd have to go around and try to nail boards back on that. And Dad would pull them old nails and he'd give me a hammer, but my hammer was so that I could take those nails on another piece of a old dead oak board and hit on them until I got them reasonably straight. And he showed me how to roll them to make sure they would go. And then he would hit them twice trying to drive a nail in and bend them again. But yeah, I got a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
It wasn't as bad as what he told me his dad did. You're going to like this. His dad rented a lot of ground from people, and he never would buy new fence stuff to build a fence on rent ground. He would take up the old fence, throw it in a brush pile, light it on fire, burn it, and then go back and fetch the wire out of the ashes. It would be all rolled up, but he said that would anneal it to where, like that old wire, when it gets to where you can't bend it without it breaking. He said then you
Mhm.
can bend it however, and it wouldn't break. And so
Oh my goodness gracious! Are you kidding me?
he would unroll that wire that he had burned back and put it up on a rental ground.
That is genius.
I don't well, they did what they had to do what they
Hey,
needed.
Elvita, welcome in.
Hey, Ovita.
And we're talking about in the 20s, 30s, and 40s would have been
Yeah.
when he was doing it. So
I like some of that old school stuff like that. I'd have never thought. I got a bunch of wire on this place that's just like that.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll tell you what you
Whole 9 acres of wire.
You coil it up, Nana, and I'll throw it in the brush pile, like the brush pile, and then you can handle it putting it back up.
well, you don't have to do it while it's hot. It'll work then after that. But
it won't have any like black ash or soot or nothing like that on it.
No, not at all.
I have some advice for you though. If you're thinking about taking down a fence and doing that, take down your fence, throw the wire in the back of your truck, take it to a recycler, and buy new wire. You'll be much
There's
happier.
an idea.
You'll be much happier. It's kind of hard for me to
all kinds
believe.
of wire out here from your dad and uncle. Had
Whenever
fences all over in weird places.
Yep.
whenever I was out of college and I rented several places, didn't have very good fence on it. And I would wait for a time when Tractor Supply would send out their deal, 10% off everything in the store or whatever. And I'd take that up there and I'd buy a pallet. I remember a couple times I bought pallets of barbed wire. And I could get that barbed wire cheap, like a quarter-mile piece of barbed wire for $17 or something like that.
Can't do that now.
And now the cheap wire is $50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
And
gaucho.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I remember that.
I remember renting a place. We rented a piece of ground when I was a teenager in Missouri, and the people were kind of known for you could only rent it like 2 or 3 years, and then for some reason they would get disgruntled with you and take it away from you and rent it to somebody else. They were just known for that. Well,
Mhm.
we wanted to make sure the fence was good enough that our cattle wouldn't get out. So we went and bought some of that $14, $15 a roll gaucho lightweight stuff and just went from tree to tree. And my dad was known for taking a wire stretcher that you could have eventually played, a tune on it, tightening a fence so tight. And we'd never used that stuff before, and he just keeps cranking on that stretcher and cranking on that stretcher and cranking on it. And we're like, man, there's a lot of slack in that wire. And pretty soon, ding, it broke. Because you could just pull that stuff just right in two. It was so soft.
I've used quite a little bit of that, and we had one time when I had her stretched up there, and the guys were going along and putting clips on while I was getting ready to put the next wire on, and all of a sudden they broke it, and they had put them clips on, and one of them had turned it a little bit too far, and it twisted the wire right at the post and broke it. And I'm like, don't do that again. He had a big old gash on his arm where
because
when it was rolled by, and I've actually got some on me that we did that, and the reason we did that was because my neighbors, it borders Indian land, and they weren't interested in helping me take down all the trees, so I just went along, cut all the limbs off from them that was hanging over in my field, and put up new wire because I needed a good fence there. And you always have problems with that. It doesn't last very long. There'll be more limbs on the fence, junk like that. Where you got somebody that's not interested in helping you, and they don't want you to cut down all the trees, and you do what you have to do.
Well, I was I guess I'm kind of one of those neighbors. My neighbor, I had like 7 head of, about 16 to 1,700 pound Holstein steers feeding out for butchering on the 9 here. And the fence wasn't great, but them Holsteins, they were bottle babies. It didn't take very much to hold them in. And while Lisa and I was at work, my neighbor decided to come and take his skid steer with his tree saw on it and sawed all the trees out of our south fence row that the fence was in. And then the fence, of course,
laid the fence down,
fell on the ground, and then proceeded to call me and my cattle were out all over him. I'm like, well, you cut down the fence. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I was helping my dad and uncle with fence when I was a kid, and I was doing staples on the corner post, and my dad went through and marked where he wanted the fence set on that corner post. And I went up a little high, and I was like, well, I'm going to get in trouble for that. So I got the bright idea, just take the claw hammer and start beating at it so I can dig that staple out of there. Well, when I hit it just right, and I busted the barbed wire, about that time I looked over, and it's wrapped around my dad's arm. I'd have been safer leaving the mark where it was, because he was not happy.
I bet.
So,
but you could run and get away from him because he was stuck right then.
Yeah, no kidding.
My uncle was free. It barely missed my uncle and got my dad. So my uncle was happy, but at the same time, he wasn't very happy about almost getting bit as well. So,
well, I'm kind of like that. You hurt one of my loved ones, you're hurting me. So,
yeah.
Well, they're identical twins, so
yeah,
you bite one, you get them both.
Yeah,
that's better than being conjoined twins.
True story.
True.
There's a lot of problems with being conjoined twins. I was watching a guy that said his dad had a conjoined twin, and they called him my uncle on my father's side. And then he said, "Don't worry, they were separated. They got surgically separated, and then it was my uncle once removed."
Yeah. I remember. You guys ever remember watching that old show, This Old House?
Oh yeah. I love that show.
It used to be on PBS when I was a kid. We always watched, and there was a there was a guy on there, and he was showing how to do the traditional, log cabin and using the draw knife to clean off the bark. And he's like, you always go away from you. You never come towards you. He goes, that's how I lost my half brother. As he's pulling it to him. And there's people that are like, what? That's awful. It's a joke, people.
Uh-huh.
At least he was only your half brother.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Mercy.
That is
watching
true,
people now.
James Hall. Barbed wire does not feel good.
Sounds like you almost ruined Piggy's computer just then. He had something in his mouth. Well, I tell you what, you want to watch some funny family stuff or friend stuff. It's all about that holding water in your mouth while you slap each other with a tortilla.
Oh, we did that. We did it as a short. That was one of our
Good
first
video.
shorts we did. Was Nana and I hitting each other with those tortillas. We went out in the front yard. Rooster was here.
Yeah.
He was laughing harder than we were. He thought that was the funniest thing in the whole world. Nana decides to just, he
just barely smacked me.
I have a really high regard that with women, and I will not, I had to be forced to do this. And
I didn't hold back though.
she didn't hold back. She just, wow, knocked my head clear off. And Brayden thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever seen.
Oh, how fun.
I know you wouldn't hold back neither.
I always let you go
I
first.
hate
was
to
pretty
eat in
sure.
front of everybody else. Do you guys mind going and getting something to eat so you'd be eating too?
Oh, no, we're good.
Yes, she made chicken and dumplings in there. She's over there eating it.
Oh, that's not right. Get that on
Yeah, where's
screen.
our invite, Jesse?
It's not that good. It came out as mush.
Did she put icky green peas in it?
No.
Oh. Instead it came out as mush.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice when y'all come to the house that everything we had for a side had peas in it.
Oh, we'll know that.
Hey, I
That's
still
okay.
ate it.
Nana ate it.
I ate it. I'm not crazy about peas, but I ate it and it wasn't terrible. So
You lived, that's the best part. Kind of like Dale's title to his video, how I poisoned all my friends at Pinecone.
There's been a couple people that commented on that. I missed. What are you talking about? You poisoned somebody. I'm like, it's an inside joke, y'all.
Sounds like a great time getting poisoned by Dale.
no, don't eat Dale's food anymore.
It was good, but I
That's
was glad
right,
I had a
baby.
couple Rolaids in my pocket.
It was good.
I've got a couple things that I used to fix quite a little bit, and one of them was quesadillas. We'd fry up some quesadillas, and I would always fry them in oil and make them nice and crispy, and get the cheese all melted really good. And we'd put either chicken or beef or something in it. And every time I ever did that, I would chop up some onions, and in a different pan, I'd caramelize them onions and put some of that in some of those. And everybody tell me what they wanted, and I'd fix those just for everybody the way they wanted them. And I don't remember what the deal was. One of the boys had a friend they wanted to bring for supper, and they said, "What are we having?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to fix quesadillas." "Never mind, I ain't bringing them." I'm like, "Oh." He said, "I don't want them knowing you can cook." Be here every evening.
Oh, goodness.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
kids. One time I made homemade taquitos. And in fact, that's one of the collaboration videos we did
Yeah.
one time. But my kids, from that point on, like the menu they wanted every week was, I made taquitos one time, so I had to make homemade taquitos. I made an old, like, I grew up pretty poor, and like one of the meals that we ate was fried tuna fish patties and macaroni and cheese. So I made fried tuna fish patties and macaroni and cheese. My kids from that point on, they wanted that for every meal for like 3 weeks straight. You know?
It sounds pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Then one time I made tuna corn casserole. Well, from that point on, for about the next 3 years, that one of the kids, that's what their request was for their birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is all the food that no one else wants to eat. Y'all know that, right?
My mom used to fix what she called salmon croquets, but it wasn't salmon, it was mackerel. She'd buy the cheapest canned fish you could get.
Oh my gosh.
She would crush up crackers, and then she would
Yep.
make them things about that big of a square and maybe that long, and roll them and fry them. She'd they always had a lot of cornmeal on the outside of them, and she quit doing that when, like, I got to be a teenager. We never had that. And I said, Mom, you haven't fixed that in a long time. She said, that's poor people food, and we ain't poor.
Exactly.
I said, who cares what they call it? It was good.
My dad, you know, my dad and his family, there's like 11 of them, and they were a dairy family, my dad's family. And so they were, you know, the milk check wasn't very good for a family that big, you know. And my dad, like, his favorite breakfast is he'd get a cup and put saltine crackers in it, put some sugar on the saltine crackers, and fill it up with milk. That was his favorite breakfast. And I'm like, Dad, you're just eating soggy crackers with sugar is what you like.
He still eats that.
He still
Dad
eats
would
it.
eat weird
Like,
things.
that's
Yeah.
his favorite breakfast food.
Yeah.
Her dad would sit there and take Fritos and pour them in a cereal bowl and pour buttermilk over them and eat that like cereal. I'm like, ooh.
Oh.
Everybody around us used to milk. There was practically at one time every farm had 4, 5, 6 milk cows, and they always had that for some way to make a little bit of money. And most of those people didn't sell their milk; they would drink it or sell it to a neighbor, but they would separate the cream off from it and sell the cream. And Bacon, my dad's uncle, told me his story that he had a neighbor that was a lot older than him at one time. And when he was first started dairying and got married and everything and growing up a family, he would go see that neighbor every week and ask him if he needed anything, because the guy was elderly. But he was just like everybody else. He had 4 or 5 milk cows. And that guy would send his cream with them to town, and he would want them to bring back saltine crackers. And they got to figuring out the only thing that guy ever ate was that old skim milk that had the cream separated off from it and them saltine crackers. He never even butchered a calf or nothing. That was all the old boy ever ate was saltine crackers, and that was what he would send for. He would send his cream with them to town, and they would sell his cream for him and then buy him the amount of saltine crackers he needed to make it through a week. And I'm like, that right there is depression stuff. Wouldn't people think they had been beat up badly today?
Oh, yeah.
Every day was that?
Oh, they'd think that you killed. I mean, you would just cut their leg off, you know?
Child abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were talking just this week. Lisa and I was talking. We have a friend that she literally makes 4 different meals. One for her, one for her husband, one for one of the kids, and another one for the other kid, because they won't all decide on the same thing to eat. And Lisa looked at her and said,
we'll see you later, Peggy. Take care.
See you, Piggy.
Good night, Piggy.
Night, Piggy.
We make one meal at our house, and she said our youngest son, Rooster, lived off of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for about 3 years.
Do you know how many years he ate peanut butter sandwiches almost every night because he didn't like what we were having?
And we made him make them himself. You're either going to eat what we have, or there's peanut butter and jelly and bread in there. That's all you can have.
And then when they go out to eat, if they can't decide on something, they'll go to one place and get something to eat, and then the kid won't like it, so he'll drink a pop or something. Then they'll go to another restaurant, and they'll go to 2 or 3 different restaurants in a night. I'm like,
oh my
and then
goodness.
we wonder what's wrong with this young generation.
Yeah.
I was taught if you didn't eat what was fixed, you didn't eat.
That was something that I grew up with, and I never had any problem with it too.
I didn't either. I never stayed skinny, so yeah.
Actually, in my house, I grew up that if you didn't eat what was put on your plate, because we didn't make our own plates. My dad always made our plates. If you didn't eat what was on your plate, it's going in the refrigerator. You're eating it for the next meal. You're eating it for breakfast. If it was dinner time, you're going to eat it for breakfast. You're going to have that plate until you eat it all.
Yep.
Yep.
So
we would sit there until we was told we had to sit there at the table till our plate was empty. And finally, I got to be, I don't know, about 9 or 10. Stroganoff and goulash was the 2 meals that Mom would make that I didn't have, that I get something else on, because I could not do stroganoff or
he's weird
goulash.
Well, my mom had a few things that she fixed that weren't packaged stuff, but the most common packaged stuff she fixed was hamburger helper. And we almost always had hamburger because there was always an old cow. And if you ever ate very much old cow hamburger, it's an acquired taste. There ain't no fat in it, and sometimes it will taste funky, but
and there's people out there, Paul, that they want to buy things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much better for you. It ain't got no fat in it. Listen.
It's impossible to cook it, like fry it, without burning it unless you put fat in it on that old cow hamburger.
Not have the natural fat that's already there.
If that's what you want. That's like eating a longhorn steer.
I remember them having their
Bye, Jan. Love you too.
double tenderized.
Bye, Jan. Love you.
And they would still cook them in a slow cooker. Mom would cook them in a slow cooker, make some gravy, put in there with them, and you hoped they got to where they would kind of break apart, because that was about as good as it got. And, you leave stuff in a slow cooker very long, especially stuff that's tender, it goes to falling apart. And you would really hope that was how that steaks wound up. But my mom and dad never had trouble with my brother and I not eating what Mom made for supper.
Amen, Tiffany.
We worked on
we eat what we're given. I'm not a short order cook.
We worked on the hay crew, and we would not, especially before I got a driver's license, had my own vehicle to drive to the hayfield. I might be 15 miles from home, and when you get done, you sit there and wait on somebody to come get you, because it's always after dark. And I can't tell you how many times we'd get home at 10, 11 o'clock. Mom would have something hot cooked for us, and one of us would be in the shower while the others was eating, so that we could get showered and in bed. Never had any trouble. Because we were hungry by then.
Hungry.
Yeah, we were
Best
hungry.
meals my mom would make is if she's like, oh no, so and so's coming over. I don't have a thing in the house to cook. Well, she'd put a pan on the stove and start throwing stuff in, and she'd make the best meals.
Yeah, that was my grandma.
Say, you make that again? She said, I don't remember what I put in it.
My dad's mom, my grandma, you would go to the refrigerator and the pantry and you'd swear there was nothing in that house. And if somebody come pulling up that 1.5 mile driveway, she could see them through the picture window on top of that hill coming. Oh, they're going to eat, kids. And she'd just start making, and pretty soon it looked like a Golden Corral buffet. Yeah. Like there was, I'm like, where did all this come from? I mean, she might have sent one of us grandkids out there to go catch chicken, and one of their old hens running around. And
did you ever hear the story about the preacher that went to visit one of his parishioners, got invited to their house for Sunday lunch after church? And he goes to their house, and they had fixed fried chicken. Of course, they were farmers, and in their barnyard, they had all kinds of stuff, and they had several little kids. And so they sat down and went to eat, and And the preacher just couldn't get over how good the fried chicken was. And he kept remarking how good the fried chicken was. Well, he had one, then he had 2 pieces. And the lady of the house says, does anybody want some more fried chicken? I'll get up and make some more. And he's like, oh, yes, I'd eat more of that. And so she went in and cooked some more fried chicken and came back with it. And he ate 2 more pieces. And she goes, anybody want some more fried chicken? I go make some more. And he's like, oh, I'd eat another couple pieces. And so she goes in and makes some more. And she comes back and he eats another piece or 2. And she's like, is anybody wanting more fried chicken? And he says, no, I'm getting pretty full. Thank you. It's really good. And one of the youngsters grabs the preacher up and goes and takes him outside and wants to show him all the animals. So they're out by the fence and he sees the goats and the pigs and the cattle and a horse or 2 and a donkey maybe. And then he sees this rooster. And this rooster's just strutting across there. He's really putting it on thick, how them roosters will do. And he says, wow, that rooster right there has got to be the most beautiful rooster I ever seen in my life. And he's really a proud rooster. And the little kid said, you'd be proud too if you had 4 sons just entered the ministry.
Oh.
Oh, that's funny.
Good night, Teresa.
Night, Teresa. But yeah,
Oh, my.
one of my favorite meals that my mom made was her tuna casserole. And I miss that because I ain't had that since she passed. Yeah. And it had peas in it. She didn't put
Did it now?
it did have peas in it.
I believe my
But
mom
still-
will fix the same one. Isn't it strange how
we
remember things that our moms remember things that our moms cooked? And we got fond memories of that, and nothing can come close to it. You could eat the same recipe that somebody else makes, and
It just ain't the same.
It's not the same.
my dad, for all of his life, has tried to get my mom to learn how to fix. And you all might think this is gross, but they would cook grits to have along with their supper, and Grandma would take the leftover grits and pack them down in a little loaf pan. And then the next morning, she would turn that little loaf pan over and get the grits to come out of it, and she would slice them and she would fry them, and that's called fried mush. And there's only one restaurant that Dad has ever found that ever served fried mush, and it is Bob Evans. They actually have it on the menu. And he said they're as close to Grandma's fried mush as anybody. And my mom, I'm sure she tried. I'm also sure she failed at making fried mush because she would never even bother trying after I was a youngster. But we all have even my mom has that. Her mom could make a custard pie. And I can't tell you how many times my mom has tried to make a custard pie like her mother's, and she just can't do it.
Mhm.
Well, my mom used to be able to cook. I mean, she could cook.
Yeah.
And then my mom and dad got a divorce 23 years ago. And for, several years, my mom, it was just her at home. So she pretty much quit cooking. And now that she cooks, it's like she forgot how. It's like, and she does not want any seasoning on anything. Nothing. I'm like,
That woman's the biggest woman I've ever met.
My mom and dad invited a guy and his wife home from church. They had just called him to be the pastor of my home church. And when this happened, I would have been really young, like 3 maybe or something. I don't remember it at all. But they agreed to come for lunch, and they got done eating, and Mom had made a coconut cream pie. And she didn't tell anybody. And so when they pretty much got done, she just like, oh yeah, I made a coconut cream pie. And the guy, his name was Rick. Rick just goes off like crazy.
Robin.
He's like, how did you know coconut cream pie is my favorite kind of pie? And his wife's name was Shirley. And he said, but every time that Shirley tries to make a coconut cream pie, it just runs all over the plate. And that was about the time my mom poured him a piece. and Dad said he ate every drop of it too.
Oh goodness!
It just runs all over the plate.
Dad had a pig butchered and got it back and everything. He said he wanted a bunch of ham steaks and got them back, and we had a big meal planned for them ham steaks, mashed potatoes, gravy, corn on the cob. We all took about a bite out of that ham steak about the same time, and they had oversalted it to the point you couldn't even take a first bite. My dad was mad, and he wound up going in and frying up another couple other ham steaks the next day after he thawed them out, and they was all overly salted too. He wound up taking what was left and making them get a new replace it all because he ruined I don't know how many pounds of ham steaks.
Well,
Hey,
we got
Ace,
some.
Joe, welcome in.
Hi, Joe. We
Hey, welcome in.
Hi, Ace. We had a customer that bought a half of a hog from us. Actually, they said them and another family, part of their family was going to buy the whole hog, but they wanted it taken to a different locker than we normally go to. Well, I take the pig there, and the day I take the pig there, the other family backs out. Like something they got in a car wreck, they couldn't pay for it, something like that. So we were low on pork, and I said, "Oh, no biggie, we'll take the other half." We'd never been there, and we just get it cut to order like we normally do with bacon and ham steaks. Ham cured and then cut into ham steaks and stuff like that. We get this home, and Rooster and I both love ham steaks fried for breakfast, So that next morning we put these ham steaks in the skillet, and while it's frying, I'm like, man, what are you burning that for, Rooster?
It did not smell good at all.
And he's like, I'm not burning it. Well, we took one bite, and I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And we could not eat it, Well, it wasn't until Rooster's trying to finish it, and that's when he was like traveling so everywhere, meat judging and stuff like that. And he finally figured it out. He goes, "It's burnt sugar." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "It's burnt sugar." Sure enough, they sugar cured, but they must not have rinsed it or anything before they cured it or smoked it. And oh my gosh, it was horrible.
When they make the brine that they inject those hams with, a lot of the time they'll have to heat that up, and they probably burned their sugar when they was heating it.
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, that whole thing was just
But
awful.
since then, we've talked to several people, and they all say the same thing, because the rest of it, like the packaging for the pork chops and steaks and everything, was perfect. No bone chips, nothing like that. I mean, it was a great job. But everybody we've talked to since then has been like, "Oh, we get everything done there, but you never get the cure from them."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that would have been nice to know.
Yeah. I guess we're going to try a different butcher.
Really?
Scott's got a couple of calves. We did our yearly prig check on our replacement heifers. I had 20 of them, and if we would have checked them all, I think we would have been 100%. But we had one that had horns, and we got her down to the end of it, and I'm like, we're going to eat a couple of them anyway. Let's just eat her. Don't even check her. And one other one that was only bred 1 month instead of 5 or 4.
Mhm.
Was one I didn't really like. So he's going to have them butchered. And we cut them out and put them back in the pasture they were in. And he goes trying to get an appointment. He tries with the normal people he uses over at Miami. And they said, earliest appointments we've got is January 20th or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's a long ways away.
Yeah.
And this guy, I've known he's got him a little butchering shop at his house. He's out in the country, and he's just down home folk. And he was listing his prices on stuff, and I'm like, that sounds cheap. And so we're going to give him a try. I've been really happy a lot of the time with country folk. Usually they do as good a job for other people or better than what they do for themselves. So
Dad's been using a guy up in Webb City right there on the back side of the airport the last few years for the pigs, and he's been really happy with them. They've done a really good job.
Yeah, and when you go to that place, you don't think that's a butcher shop. It's like in practically residential area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can't remember the name of that one.
I can't remember the name of it either, but yeah, he told me to go there to get my half a hog that I got a few years ago. And I'm like, am I going to the right place? And then all of a sudden, boom, there it is. I'm like, okay.
Was it Clouds?
Clouds.
That may be.
Yeah, I've been there.
But yeah, he's been real happy with them the last few years because he started using I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I think. The last few times he's been raising pigs, that's where he takes them, and price has been really good. And yeah, I mean, the cuts and everything's been great with them.
The butcher shop we use over at Miami has went through a big expansion, and they've got retail, but for the most part they do custom butchering, and that's it. And they had so much of that kind of business pour into them that when you made a date with them, they would tell you the date your meat would be ready, and you had to come and get it within 2 days of that because they would run out of freezer space.
Yeah.
And so
that's our local locker. They do so much, now that this direct farm sales, and they're a federally inspected locker. They do so much of that when they call and tell you it's done, like they mean you better come get it that day or the next day, or else the next phone call won't be so nice.
During 2020, whenever everything went crazy and people like booked those, there was a lot of animals that got booked to be processed that wasn't even born yet.
That wasn't even born. Yeah, exactly.
And, this butcher that we've got, when they went through all that, they decided when they did their expansion that they was going to take on some different policies, and so their policy now is, in order to secure a date, you put $25 deposit on it.
Oh wow!
And you call in and do that with your credit card over the phone still, so it's not like you have to go over and show up, but you got to put $25 down. Of course, that money pays into what your butchering cost is going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, in order to secure a date, and they're the ones that you couldn't get anything into until January. So,
hey, Cherokee girl,
I'm like, they got their Christmas money already on deposits.
Yeah, that's right. I seen somebody else posted on one of the social medias this meme, or talking about that years ago their dad started giving them a quarter of a beef or a half a beef or whatever for Christmas. I guess we're just like old school, because that's what we started doing for our kiddos long time ago. Actually, when the oldest got moved out and got married, we started with her, and that's what we give. We give them a half a hog, every year. And those kids, they just love that. The 1 year we didn't have hogs, so we just went to the locker and got them $100 gift, cards or something, and gave it to them, and they just think that's like the best thing.
Yeah.
In fact, the 1 year we got them something different that was worth the same as what we thought that was worth, and they kind of got a
They
little
wanted
bit
the meat.
upset over us, over it.
They wanted the meat locker or the meat.
Yeah.
My family has done something like that, but it's worked the other way. My parents have a deep freeze you could put a person or 2 or 5 in.
Mm. That's note to self.
Watch what you're eating at the case place.
Yeah.
What was it that lady said on fried green tomatoes? The ribs are really good today.
It's in the sauce.
And, my kids and I don't have. We've got a refrigerator in the garage that has a freezer in the top of it, and that's all we use for a freezer and the part that's in here in our refrigerator freezer. And so we always are winding up putting meat down there, and it works out good for my folks. They don't cook at home a lot, but when they do, hey, they've got meat,
Yeah.
and don't have to worry about it. My mom and dad, neither one of them retired from a job, but because they had a very smart CPA that recommended they pay into Social Security, they're both able to draw a little Social Security for their retirement. That plus using their family to sell the land that they had to, as in me and Scott, have a vested in our farming more and more than they know, because we have to continually be paying them. And so our success, their retirement depends upon our success.
Yep.
How'd we do at the sale today? I said, well, you don't have to come out of retirement.
You don't have to come out of retirement.
Oh, goodness.
Cherokee girl says, my G-Dad gave me 2 funeral plots for my 18th. I was not appreciative.
Hey, Xander, we are
You
related.
don't have to pay for those. Yeah.
We are related. We're all on this side of Noah.
Yep. That's right.
But yeah,
I thought
Sorry,
maybe
we caved. We were hungry.
You see that? Now Lisa's eating something. Dale, you're the left out.
I know. Y'all made me hungry.
Want me to go get you something? I got my bowl empty. It was chili, but mine's going to have a little bit of corruption in it. I try to beat it. You got a spoon?
I don't mind.
we actually had a late lunch. We needed something we needed a little gas from the station and stuff, so we run to the gas station restaurant, and they call them crispy chicken wraps. So they take a fried crispy chicken strip and put it in a tortilla with lettuce, bacon bits, cheese, and ranch dressing, and roll that up and then put it in the pizza oven. And then I take and put a little bit of that corruption of Paul's, that Frank's Red Hot on there. Oh, man. I like it.
Oh, poor Molly.
So,
well, I almost missed lunch in between all my relative stuff. I had a guy that came and bought the 2 bundles of slabs I had here, and I had got my second load of hay loaded, and I was come up here at the house and was waiting on him, and I'm like, I'm hungry. It's stupid 1 o'clock, and it hit me. I ain't eating nothing for lunch, so I grabbed a couple of hot dogs, and as quick as I finally got the package open. It was some of those sausages, and they got that Ziploc deal.
That don't work out.
Who in the world are these people who are trying to make a Ziploc bag out of a weenie package?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to go help them. Because would the Ziploc or Glad bag people please get a hold of the weenie company and not make a Ziploc bag? And I finally gave up after the 4th, 5th time I dropped it probably and couldn't get it open. I just cut the whole top of it off.
Yep. Take the knife.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it was probably, what was it, 2:45 or so?
It was after 3.
It was after 3.
Yeah.
By that time, our bacon and egg sandwich for breakfast wore out from this morning.
Yeah.
You guys ever heard of a song called Wore Out?
No.
You've
Mm-mm.
never heard a song called "Wore Out"?
Nope.
If I heard it, I might remember it, but it's not.
Wonder if I could sing "Wore Out" without getting us in trouble. I'll probably get in trouble, but I'll just stop real often. And if you kick us out, then don't never invite me to your live again, okay? And I'm doing this all from memory. I used to sing with my two boys when they were young at church, and we haven't sang together in a long, long time. It goes, oh, you come home at night and sit down for a bite, and you're wore out. You're hardly able to get up from the table because you're wore out. Oh, you crawl into bed and sleep like you're dead because you're wore out. In the morning you wake up, but you can't seem to get up because you're wore out.
Paul needs to do the next karaoke.
Heaven with Jesus our King, we won't have to worry about anything. We'll be happy and free, and our bodies won't be wore out.
Amen.
There's
Amen.
three. I don't know if I can remember all of it.
Like it.
Okay,
Now
here
we
we
have to look into that.
go.
We got a mooching Redbone over here.
You
Nana?
wake up on Sunday and dread to see Monday because you're wore out. You go sit in church, oh, your back starts to hurt because you're wore out. The choir starts to sing, but you can't feel a thing because you're wore out. You pray the sermon and song, won't last too long because you're wore out.
Hearing that song wore me out.
But when we get to heaven with Jesus our King, we won't have to worry about anything. We'll be happy and free, and our bodies won't be wore out. Oh, you go for a ride in the car with your wife, and she's wore out. The car. The wife, I don't know. She starts to worry, tells you not to hurry. This car's wore out. Oh, you don't know where you're at, and one of the tires has gone flat because it's wore out.
Oh, she'll leap.
Wish I could remember the last one. What was it, honey? I'm having a roadblock here at the last line of that
He can't remember the
I
rest
smelled the
because his
food.
mind is wore out.
No, Molly.
You're right, Lisa. You are right.
I see bad things getting ready to happen. Oh goodness! You're
Oh,
not
look at that
a
lap dog.
It's big old lap dog.
Molly. Say hi to everybody. Tell everybody hi.
It's a spoiled, rotten coon dog.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah, Tina's got food up here and Molly wants it.
She's a pretty girl.
Yes, she is. Pretty rotten.
You are too, Tina.
Here we go. From the sound of the motor, you're going to soon have to tow her because she's wore out. The wife.
Talking about the wife now, aren't you?
Let's do it one more time.
Hi, Lori.
But when we get to heaven with Jesus our King, we won't have to worry about anything.
Oh, and I need
We'll
nothing.
be happy and free, and our bodies
my
won't
food?
be
No, it's mine.
wore out. We'll be happy and free, and nothing there will ever be wore out.
Oh man, I need to
Love it.
get
Mhm.
that one and do it as a special at church.
Okay, I can tell you who I know that has sang that was George Ounce.
Oh really?
Yeah, from the Cathedrals, and
Huh.
you can find that on YouTube, I'm sure. But that was an old man named Larry McElhaney that sang with a trio called Joyful Noise that just sang churches and nursing homes around here where we're at. They would come and he would sing that. Great big old guy.
We have some friends over by Iola, Kansas,
Mhm.
that they attend a Baptist church over there, and they called us up one time and invited us. They said, "You want to go to dinner?" We said, "Sure, we'll go and eat dinner." And we went and ate dinner, and they said, "Well, we have an ulterior motive. We're not going to just eat dinner." And I'm thinking, "Oh, here it comes, some kind of pyramid scheme or something like that." And they said, "We're going to go uptown up here to the
Bolus.
Bolus,
The Bolus Fine Arts Center.
Fine Arts Center." And it was nothing but like a concert with like 4 or 5 gospel groups, like Southern gospel quartets and trios, and
one of them was a family.
one of them was a whole family. It was
it was so good.
awesome. It was a whole night of worship. It was a great
It
night.
was awesome. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And we need to get a hold of them again and find out if that's like an annual deal, and try to holler at everybody and come and see if everybody wants to meet there, because it is neat.
Yeah, it was really good.
But a little bit of that Gaither, that Gaither feel to it,
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer said something about we haven't even got to tractor or car parts talk yet. So we got a question for Dale. My cousin, the storm that came through blowed half of one of his sheds down. He was a dairyman and used to raise all his own calves, and he's traded all that out and has quit dairying years ago, and now he's got a bunch of Angus stuff, and he keeps some calves backgrounded and used one of those buildings that blew in.
Mm-hmm.
That, and now he's going to have to
turn.
building. And in that building is a tractor that he used for a long time back when he was dairying. It is a 2510 gas row crop.
Yes.
With a 48 loader on it.
Okay.
And I know Gary overhauled the motor on it at least once. But it was his chore tractor. I don't know what it looks like. He hadn't used it he said 5 years probably since he'd started it. If that thing run decent, what could it actually be worth? You got any idea?
Well, the tractor market has been pretty intense, as you know, especially when you start talking about a tractor with the loader.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, 6,500, 7,500 will catch it.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. Gary had somebody he talked to that told him, "Oh, I don't know, between $3,000 and $6,000." And I'm like, they've not seen it. It's never set outside.
I mean, it could be if if the paint's really, really, really nice and stuff like, the gas actually hurts it. If it was a diesel, it would bring more. But I watched one at a sale. It was just kind of a average paint, and it was 75 or 72.50 or something like that. So I would say, kind of depending on what it is,
Yeah.
We
might get to see it. I don't know. I told him that I wanted to help him sell it or just buy it. I could buy it outright from him. But I don't know that I want to mess with it anymore. And I got to have the room where that shed is at. So,
yeah.
And
she's
I
offended.
Feel really good. I can't tell you how many millions. It seems like millions when we was putting them up. Square bales of straw. I baled behind his Gleaner A2 combine.
Gleaner A2?
It was an A2, had a 12-foot head on it.
And so you would cut wheat straw and bale the wheat straw behind it?
Oh, he cut the wheat, and he would always make me some really good straw because he double cropped behind it, but they wouldn't no-till.
To her.
Yeah.
he plowed it, and so getting the straw off of it was good for him too on some of that. And so
Yeah. Well, you're kind of
One
in
more
that
button.
country not very far away that if you that wheat straw is like a hot commodity for some barns over there in Miami.
Mhm.
I
Well, they've gotten strict on what they'll take.
Oh, comes
Yeah.
Elvis.
Believe it or not, I've never sold them any straw.
really.
No. For a long time, they wouldn't take anything but big square bales. And I
Yep.
think they may be back to that. But on round, when I was doing it, they had quit buying little square bales. But on round bales, they went to telling their producers that they had to be net repped and had to be 5x6 as big as they could make them. And
Another
I can
baby.
believe that. What we're
Yeah.
talking about, if people don't know what we're talking, because people probably don't know what we're talking about, is there's a mushroom plant.
Yep, J&M Farms mushrooms is
So if
at
you've ever been to the grocery store, those button mushrooms that are fresh in the garden or the salad section that say J&M, they all come right down the road from Paul.
Mhm.
actually their plant is a mile from my church.
Really?
And sometimes we know it
Yeah. Because
when
they
they're
make
changing.
compost out of that straw, and then the mushrooms grow on that
Everybody would like to see it.
compost.
Yeah, when they're changing them beds out, and if it winds ever any out of the east, we
They just make us
commerce
look.
gets kind of covered up with
Is that compost? Do they sell that compost?
Yes, they do. I have bought semi loads of it before, trying to use it to fertilize my pasture, and there's not enough stuff in it to do that with, but it works great to work into your gardens.
Yeah, I was gonna say. No, you be more. You need to get some of that stuff from that country over there by Eric and Tina. Some of them turkey barns and chicken
Sounds
barns.
good. I'm not going to make a comment because I have a. I can't make a comment. Do you know what a CAFO is? CAFO?
A CAFO?
Yeah, CAFO. It stands for something. Confinement Animal Feeding Operation.
Yeah.
Well, they may not be regulated anywhere else, but they are in Oklahoma. In order to use the manure out of a CAFO, the state requires you to have current, inside of the same calendar year, soil test.
Are you kidding me?
And it's phosphorus that they're concerned with, and it has to be inside of their limits on phosphorus. Our ground out here is so poor. We spread all of our own litter on all of our own place for 15 years when we was growing chickens, and the phosphorus level has never gotten within 300 pounds to the acre of what their limits are.
Mm.
Oh wow.
But where they were having trouble was they had some chicken growers that had 40 acres and had 4 buildings like mine, and they'd spread the whole clean out on their 40 acres every time. And they could get it over the limits then, and it will run off apparently and cause problems in lakes and stuff. But
We've been having.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you there was a bunch of here probably 7-8 years ago, somebody convinced like every farmer in this country that they needed to spread that turkey litter up here. And there was some guy with a big spreader truck, floater spreader truck, It was part of the deal. I think the deal was he had a spreader truck and he had to figure out a way to put it to use and make money other than for himself to pay the bills. So he convinced everybody to spread turkey litter.
I can
Well,
help
that was
you.
all fine and dandy until he started spreading next to people's houses. And if you've been around turkey barns or chicken barns very much, you learn that when one expires, where does it go? Into the litter pile. So he'd be spreading along, and all of a sudden, this big ball of gelatinous decomposure would come squirting out of that thing.
Organic material.
Organic material, exactly.
Molly.
Well, here's the thing, Dale. What you was having there is probably part of some of what we was dealing with down here. They went to first when they come up with this legislation that was going to govern all us CAFO operators. They put out a program that would pay people the trucking to move the litter out of watersheds that they considered endangered.
Yeah.
They hadn't even done any soil testing in these places to find out that any of them were over their limits. But the state come up with a bunch of money that would help those guys truck their litter out. So then the trucking didn't cost them anything, and they could sell their litter to a guy that's 100 miles away for the same price as what they's getting at their farm.
Yep.
And it was typical bureaucracy. They enable people to do something that's not feasible because it looks good to the environment or something.
That's right.
And
that's kind of like we have nothing but surface water for rural water up here. Actually, urban and rural water. You know, we have water lakes is where water comes out of and gets treated. Well, if you know anything about surface water and regulations, they test that water. Well, if you know anything about surface water naturally catches nitrates. You know, it produces it in the moss, it catches leaves that run in it and everything else, and grass and stuff like that. So the nitrate will be high in it when they test it compared to, say, well water. Well, I have a friend that runs one of them treatment plants, and he's like, I cannot get it through these state people's mind because they come and test our water, and then they automatically send out these letters to all of my customers that says that this water is dangerous. And he said, there's nothing dangerous about it. Like, there's nothing dangerous about it. He said the stuff that they told me to put in it to make that go away is more dangerous than the water could ever be, you know?
I went on a mission trip to a place called, I believe there was 2 mission trips I went on with the Volunteer Christian Builders to Texas, and one of them was Big Spring, and one of them was to Sulphur Spring. And I think the one I'm thinking of was at Big Spring. It was in West Texas. And we get there, and they have accommodations for us to stay, which didn't always work that way. Quite frequently, when that group would go, we'd have to stay in motels, or guys would pull campers to it. But they had the accommodations for us. So we all stayed in this place, and it was it would have reminded you of a 66 highway drive-in bungalow or something, you know, one of these old style motels that had the half circle for a driveway, and you could park right in front of your room. And apparently this Baptist Association there had bought it and was using it as a mission opportunity to help people who were visiting their relatives in a federal prison there. It wasn't very far from there. And so they would let those rooms out. You could reserve the rooms in that place, and it didn't cost you anything, but you had to abide by their rules, and they always were there, had volunteers there to share with people that was coming in and pray with them and whatnot. But anyway, we got to stay there. And first thing I noticed about there was you had 2 water faucets. I'm like, why do they have 2 water faucets? They said, well, this one's for washing and this one's for drinking. And I quickly learned the color coding on those. I did, because the one for washing is recycled water.
I'm out. I don't even know if I want to wash in that.
Right?
And then I got thinking, what are they washing? Are they washing our dishes in that other water?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you.
Oh, goodness.
Hey,
The
we got it good here, don't we? We got it good. I tell you.
The little mascot of 9 Acres is behind us.
He is snoring up a
He
storm.
is snoring. It sounds like a
I'm
sawmill.
surprised you guys can't hear him.
Well, I was wondering if that
Yeah.
made this one spoiled. That he fed her my leftovers with a spoon.
Yeah. I mean, this one back here, he must have farm dogged hard today because he is sawing logs now.
Did I tell you guys about the fact that my dog's not privileged like a lot of people's dogs is? I had a guy that wrecked in front of my place a couple weeks ago and tore his car up really bad. And then his stepdad is a neighbor of mine named Crazy George, and several of my neighbors.
We all got one of them, don't we? You got a Crazy George. We used to have a Crazy Edna that lived by us.
Crazy George is more like a stalker, and several of my neighbors have restraining orders against him. He just does all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, so George told me he finally got. You can't talk to the guy on the phone, and he would call me and was trying to get me to tell him that when I was gonna file with his insurance for them to pay me to fix my fence, and I ain't going through all that. I've been through that dozens of times with a few people that had wrecked, and the police officer or whoever responded would tell me I could file on their insurance, and we tried that, and it never works. They never pay nothing, and so I'm like, I'm not even going to do it. And they're my neighbors, and it's real easy to be nicer than Crazy George. But anyway, I was going to be nice, and so no, I wasn't talking about you, Scotty. So Crazy George calls me one morning on a number that I didn't know, and I answered, and I'm like, oh man, and I'm not gonna file on your insurance. You can just forget it. He said, well, it expires tomorrow. Your opportunity to file expires tomorrow. And I said,
Hey, Johnny, welcome in.
And yeah, hey. And so then he goes to telling me, and now this kid, he run off the road on the right side and hit the culvert and ramped my whole driveway and missed the big walnut tree on the south side of my driveway by like inches.
Yeah.
And winds up in the ditch down there behind my mailbox. And the ditch is over 4 foot deep down there. And the thing had to have been almost a tip over.
Oh, her elbow.
We found the front axle of his Cadillac Escalade. The hub had broke off and was laying there in the ditch after we'd already towed everything away. And I didn't know nothing about it. I was sitting here at the house, and highway patrolman calls me. And I don't know if y'all have ever gotten a call from a highway patrolman, but it ain't never good.
No.
I was thinking, okay. And so I answered and talked to the guy. He said, I need to bring you this report, And I said, well, he said, can I leave it in your mailbox? I said, you can, but I'm home. You can just bring it up here at the house. And he comes in, and I answer the door, and it was nice and warm that day. So I said, come on in here. And he should come in and shut the door. And I looked at that, and it said George on it. And I'm like, you need something to drink, sir. You've been having to deal with Crazy George. I mean, you couldn't take nothing that I had. But anyway, when I was on the phone with Crazy George, then George goes to trying to tell me my dog walked across the road in front of his stepson, caused him to run off the road, and that my dog probably needs therapy.
Oh my gosh.
So I informed George that my dog don't have a therapist. And I said, George, I was needing to leave to go to the woods. I'm like, George, I have to go to work. Blah, 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 blah. And he kept talking. And I said, George, I have to leave and go to work. And blah, 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 blah. And I said, George, I have to leave and go to work. And he just kept talking. So I hung up on him. And then he texted me back. We got disconnected somehow.
No kidding.
No, I hung up on you. I have to go to work. Some people just don't get it.
Yeah, some people just don't quite get it.
Apparently, Sam was out causing accidents.
Poor Sam.
Yeah.
He's traumatized for life now, Paul. You got to get him a therapist.
Needs therapy.
I'll tell Jesse come over and visit him.
You know what?
Give him therapy.
If Sam needed therapy, they would need to just sit there and feed him treats one right after the other.
Yeah.
That's like
Sam really looked like he need therapy.
Sam
Sam-
gets what Sam wants. That's what I
All Jesse did was sit on the ground, and Sam's like, "Oh, another person to love on me. Here."
He'll come up and lay down like your lap. Mhm.
And that's where he went.
Yep.
I haven't never seen Sam goose anybody, but he wets on every fire that shows up.
My dogs don't have manners.
Yeah, that's all right. Kevin don't either.
So I heard you start talking about. I heard you were talking about Kevin when I got in. Kevin, okay?
Oh yeah, that was from a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah, that's an old video.
so your videos are about like mine.
No, actually, I don't have anything banked. I've got one, but I've got to wait until something shows up to finish it so I can get the end of it. But yeah.
And Dale, you weren't in yet today. I made a video by myself.
No way,
posted it yet.
Tina. Look
I haven't
at her.
posted it yet,
She's
but I
all
will.
grown
But yeah,
up.
I edited it on my phone and everything.
She's a big girl now.
Yay! I didn't say it was a great one, but
I did have to help her a little bit, but yeah, she did most of it by herself.
Oh no.
there's no music or nothing. So yeah, what you see is what you get.
Well, how about this? You know, I got this GoPro thing down now, you know,
Tina and
with
Eric
all this and editing with the computer.
by the
And the video that just come out, I was so proud of myself. I went and got YouTube music and put on it, you know, and stuff and everything. And I get it all ready. And Lisa and I was talking, and I was going through I'm like, I think I got a picture of that. And I'm going through there, and there's like 4 or 5 videos on my phone from Pinecone Fest that are missing out of there. I was like, I thought I had footage of that. I thought I had footage of that. You know what? I do have footage of that. It's on my phone. So there might be
My haying videos went like that. I was probably putting out haying videos for a solid month after we had got done.
yeah.
He's like, should I go ahead and
Should
put
I
it
pull
out,
it all
or
down? And
what should I do? I said, just put lost footage.
long lost footage from Pinecone. I'm gonna have to put out that as another video.
You know
'Cause there's
what?
some pretty good
If
stuff.
title
on it.
draws people in, you should go like, met my cousin Earl for the first time.
Yeah. so I can be somebody else that we all might know that does some clickbaity stuff.
Or how about this one? Meet the rest of my extended family.
Yeah. No, the one
It's
I'm
easy.
thinking of, like, there'd just be a blur where I was pointing towards and say it tried to attack my family, so I had to take it out. You know?
Hey, you guys met Brock. Brock makes videos. If you go watch any of his videos, you'll figure out a lot of the videos he makes just to make videos. And that bothers me, especially when people are giving advice about things they don't know anything about.
Well, the one
Sean
I'm talking
says it's all
about,
content, Dale.
the one I'm talking about is like down in southern Oklahoma, down in there. And like everyone, it kind of got into a thing. Like every one of their videos now, there's some disaster, like some wild 1,000-pound wild hog that ends up being a guinea pig is trying to take out his family or something like that, you know.
You know, my wife and I have been involved in 3 different churches, and it
It's all
always
content, Dale.
every church, we've got somebody who's the designated DQ. You guys know what a DQ is?
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen.
Whoa, no cigar.
Drama queen.
Drama.
Drama queen.
They
Drama.
bring
I was
so
thinking
much
ice cream
drama
sounded
that
better.
I need Dramamine just to preach, you know. And
Yes.
so
Drama mean. Hey, that's my dad's family. Like, if there's not drama
man.
enough with everybody else, they'll create drama within themselves, you know.
They will.
Mhm. Yeah, I know a couple people like that too, and yeah.
But speaking of my dad, I know we're gonna have to be getting off because it's gonna be time for chilling with the Gillums here
About
pretty
10
soon.
minutes.
But
Oh wow.
about 10 minutes. But speaking of my dad, if you guys would keep dad in your prayers, because he's currently in KU
At the hospital.
at the hospital because his blood pressure is
Ridiculous.
and not being controllable again. So
Oh goodness.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's about as much as I know. So
Yeah.
him and I, today was the opening of bird season today in Kansas,
They
and
didn't
we
get
were
to
supposed
go.
to go quail hunting, and it didn't ever happen. So that's why we've been working on another project today. But
Yeah.
I said, do you need me to come up there? Well, there ain't no need for you to come up here. I'm just sitting here for them to decide what they're gonna do. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you sure you don't need me up there, Dad? Well, nope. Don't you come up here.
That's what he said last time too. So
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm waiting
we may be making a trip tomorrow. Who knows?
because I'm pretty sure if they admit him, they've had him this long, they ain't gonna let him out till Monday morning. I would say.
Yeah.
Mhm. More likely. So, yep, definitely keep them in your prayers and
Yeah.
in ours.
Yep.
So, but yeah,
One day to drifting dreamers. No,
Nope.
none of us.
well, DQ homemade.
well, would it bother you too bad if we prayed for him before we left?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Well, let me lead. We'll pray for Dale's dad. Bow
Alrighty.
with him. Heavenly Father, Lord, we love you. We thank you for who you are and what you've done for us, Father, the great gift you've given us in Jesus Christ. And Father, we just lift Dale's dad to you as he's still dealing with a lot of health problems. And Father, I pray that you would guide those who are taking care of him and their doctors, that their decisions would be exactly what you want done. And Father, that we pray that he'd be healed from all this. And nevertheless, Father, we want your will, not ours. So, Father, we just place him in your hands and we trust you with him. And Father, we know that what you want is going to be the best for everybody. And so, Father, I just pray that you'd be with him and give him great comfort and be with his family, especially Dale and Lisa, as they deal with this. And Father, that you would give them great comfort and consolation at this time. And Father, we're going to thank you for the outcome. We don't know what it is, but we know if it's in your hands, it's going to be good. And we just want to praise your holy name. In the name of Jesus, we're praying tonight. Amen.
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 Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
DQ homemade.
Gypsy Trails, welcome in.
Gypsy Trails.
Hi, Randall.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think after this, after talking about DQ Dairy Queen, I'll have to send Jessica to like Sonic or something, get a milkshake.
There's a Dairy Queen in Bella Vista.
That's
Your
true.
milkshake. What?
Mom.
Whoa, Nana! You're not supposed to say that out loud.
Oh goodness.
So much for unspoken.
Dog on
That's
it.
right.
It's like what?
I'm
Dairy
telling you,
Queen?
that milkshake thing, I'm not old enough to be a milkshake person.
I love milkshakes.
That like skipped my generation.
Ugh.
My dad is always likes the malts better than milkshakes.
My dad is a malt and milkshake. Yeah. He's like, you know, I stopped there and I got me a malt. And I said, what's a malt, Dad? You know, a malt. I said, well, let's get one. So I got one. And I said, I'm not really into melted ice cream. I'd rather have ice cream. And he's like, well, I said, that's just such your generation. Like,
Well, I'm the guy that always winds up getting a milkshake. Like if we go to Brahms, Brahms is my favorite, and I don't know why, but we actually at church use code name for Brahms if we're going to go as a group because we don't want the DQ to go anyway. Brahms
We know all about that.
years and years ago, the Brahms became the Big Blue House, but when I pastored south of Seneca, I had to learn to eat soft serve ice cream because there's a Dairy Queen in Seneca, and so it was like, okay, I'll drive right through Seneca. If you guys want to hear a really funny story, when people from Commerce came to hear me preach at the church I was pastoring, I thought it was really awkward. And they wanted to go somewhere and talk with me after church that Sunday night. And I said, that'd be fine. Where are we going to go? Well, there's a Dairy Queen in Seneca. I said, we can't go there. Everybody from this church is going there. And we sit on the tables in front of Sonic then. And
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Well, you know,
my favorite is vanilla, believe it or not. I'm a
vanilla guy, like a real true vanilla. I'm going to tell you, Trey and Jess's vanilla and Sean and Kelly's vanilla homemade ice cream at Pinecone. That's my jam. Like,
it was awesome.
Just that real true vanilla homemade ice cream. That's where it's at.
Yeah,
that's your fault. You know where it was at.
You know where it was at. I mean, I can't blame.
5.5 hours south. That's where it was.
It's just like, I'm going to tell you, Tina, it's just like when you feed cattle at a bunk. The one that misses out knew where the feed was poured. It's your fault you didn't get in there and get some.
That's true.
You know me, I was busy running my mouth.
And that's your own fault. Nobody was holding you back.
So. I've always got something running.
Sometimes it's me.
Just
outhouse.
Well, you can know it's an emergency if you see old Paul running. You know.
I'm going to tell you, I've told people that before. I
always say, if you see me running, you better be running too.
You better be running
there's something
too.
going on.
Guys, it's been great hanging with you tonight.
Yep, we need to get everybody loose and everybody get ready to head over to Johnny and Christine for chilling with the Gillums.
3 minutes.
They going on at 7 or 8?
I thought they went on at 8.
I thought they went on at 8 too, but I just looked when Dale said that, and it says 7 tonight.
So
7 to 9.
To get ice cream.
No, they go on in 3 minutes.
You've got time to get ice cream if the ice cream's in your refrigerator.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, but you know, we got more stories to, you know, this one time a whole long time ago when I went to go get ice cream, I was headed down the road and this deer jumps out in front of me.
Oh.
And I hit that deer with my vehicle. And I didn't think I was ever going to make it there to get ice cream. And I was on the phone with my insurance and I'm like, I'm on my way to go get ice cream. And I hit a deer. And they're like, well, did you make it to get your ice cream? And I said, you know, I don't really think that's part of the point is, but I hit a deer and now my truck's all messed up, you know? And so they wanted me to start sending them pictures and everything.
I thought he was going to pull a Paul face. It was exactly what I was thinking, wasn't it, you guys?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I looked down at my phone and poof.
Well, I'll tell you a story, but then I got to go, except I don't have a story. So see you guys after a while.
All right. Take care. So, yep. Everybody, thank you all so much. Paul, Dale, Nana, thanks for coming in, guys. We appreciate you guys being with us for the last 2 hours. We got less than a minute, so everybody better get over to Johnny and Christine. So
Tell
we
them the
are
Raney sent ya.
out of here, guys. Y'all take care. Love y'all.